We get to the story I'm already sick and tired of talking about. And that is the Nico Iamaleava, your mama,
your mama,
and stuff.
And llama.
Nico Iamaleava. I'll just go with the same headline as yesterday, mainly because I'm lazy. Set the college football world on fire. It's all anybody's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And as I suggested yesterday here on the I Told You So Tuesday Monty Show program, this is his dad. Are the drops not working?
They're not working.
Well, you got to fix it. You got to do what you got to do to fix it, yo. But his dad, as it turns out, is the one. Good night. His dad is the one making the issue here out of nothing.
Which was your point yesterday.
Which is exactly what I told you it was yesterday.
Right. You were saying that it was his people, not him.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Iamaleava is getting bad advice. And I think it's as simple as that. His dad is on the record now saying that, hey, you all in the media. Hey, y'all in the media need to understand this is a business first. Excuse me, sir, do you think we don't understand that? Do you think we don't understand that? We are allowed to seek opportunities elsewhere. Oh, sure you are. You're allowed to go seek opportunities elsewhere. You can shake your moneymaker all you want.
Right.
But if nobody's throwing dollar bills up onto the stage while you're on that pole, you're not getting paid.
Right.
You are, and I hope if you are a young person or if you have kids, you will teach them this lesson. You are worth what somebody is willing to pay you. And the problem for Nico is it does not appear anybody is willing to pay him. Now, his dad also says he has offers of $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
Then why haven't we heard about those? Why is nobody breaking the story that, Vita Vegemite University has offered Nico Leave It to Your Mama $4 million a year in NIL money?
Right.
How come we haven't heard that story?
Mm-hmm.
Because it probably does not exist.
Yeah.
I think there's only two spots. And now, after some shocking news today in Manhattan, Kansas, I think there's only one spot because, hello.
Wait, hold on. I know that headline there doesn't say Avery Johnson.
The basketball coach.
Oh, the basketball coach, not the quarterback.
Oh, this is the quarter. No, the quarterback. Wait a minute. Noel Monty's. Noel Monty's. Now, the quarterback at K-State's the greatest quarterback that anybody in Manhattan, Kansas has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they ran Will Howard out of town on a rail.
Because he was terrible.
They dropped him off at Championship U at Ohio State.
Right.
So let me get this right. Not only was Will Howard not the problem at K-State, not only was Avery Johnson not the solution at K-State, Will Howard left K-State. And did you say he won a national championship? And Avery Johnson is now transferring to Tennessee?
Wow.
Very interesting, K-State fan. Now what? If you're Nico, you're in real trouble. That's what.
Mm-hmm.
Because Avery Johnson's going to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And if you read the tea leaves, and maybe it's not even really the tea leaves, it is the Twitter account of Avery Johnson. Notice who follows him.
Oh.
It's the head coach at Tennessee, Josh Heupel.
The only 10 I see.
And turns out, and I know that Avery Johnson's a follower of Christ. you know. But it turns out the average ass quarterback's going to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're in a situation where, and listen, Nico's dad, I understand it's a business. Well, the business is that Tennessee's going to have Avery Johnson and you're not going to have Tennessee. Are you really telling me that Tulane's going to pay him $4 million a year?
No. And I think it's rich that again, we have a situation where this isn't the kid, this isn't the player, this is his dad getting in the way and saying, hey, like, we deserve more. Like, he's got offers for more, and somehow, Tennessee's not good enough. And I think the problem with it is that it just makes Nico look like a fool. With all due respect, it makes Nico look like
makes him look like a fool.
Yeah, and there's no reason
exactly
for that.
Right.
And by the way, excuse me. By the way, Nico is a talented kid. I mean, I think we would all agree that this kid's got a future in football. I don't know to what extent, whether it's the NFL or, just how good he could become. But I think we would all agree that he has talent. So the idea that he's found himself in the middle of this thing because his dad's out here talking about how he's got $4 million offers falling off trees, apparently, from Tulane. So wait, you're going from Tennessee and the SEC to Tulane? What are you doing?
Brutal.
What the hell are you doing?
It's brutal. Like, there's no justifying this.
Come on, dude.
And I think you're right. The biggest problem here is Nico Iamaleava is taking the lion's share of the beating here.
Yeah.
And I'll say what I said yesterday. The people around him are crippling this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope this is a lesson learned because you're not that good. He's not a top 10 quarterback. In the comment section yesterday, I love all of the Nico. And they're all like, he's a top 10 quarterback in college football. Stop. Because he's not even going to be a P4 quarterback.
Right.
I just don't know. I don't know where you go here. If you're Nico, I don't know where you go here. And then, because how can you have football without Paul Finebaum? Paul Finebaum absolutely, I'm not going to say crushed is strong.
Right.
He laid into Nico today.
I would stay away from him. Buyer beware of this guy, and it's not even Nico. It's the whole apparatus. I mean, you're not dealing. Something tells me Nico is not personally in the middle of these negotiations. Team Nico is, and I mean there is a toxic feeling about this player. He can impact a football team, but you also have to decide what is the cost. And everywhere he goes, there's going to be this halo around him that says he held out, he asked for money, he's a problem child, stay away.
And then Paul
well, nice editing job there, Jake. On the jocks right there is Paul Finebaum. I mean, is he right? Is he right? I don't think there's any. You don't have to like Finebaum, but he is right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is he is right. I think and we spoke about this yesterday. Like, if you're gonna attempt to bring Nico in, you're certainly having to evaluate, well, how much of a reputation is our program? How much of a hit to our reputation is the program going to take? Because ultimately, we're trying to bring a kid in who has issues. Like, let's be honest, like, his dad's a problem. And this kind of harkens back to, all the conversations and the hate the Ball family got. I mean, let's remember, just how much of an influence LeVar Ball was for those guys. And, they've eventually found their way to the NBA and made the money, and, LaMelo's doing what he's doing. But how many stories like that are there really? I mean, they're really the only ones where their dad was like right in the middle of it and they made it.
And he ruined it. In my opinion, LeVar ruined his kids' careers. I think there's no doubt the knee injury, Lonzo believes it was from the shoes.
Yeah.
Right? You look at the entitlement that LaMelo is playing with. Cleangelo or Clamato or whatever the hell his
Mr.
name
Sunglasses out of the bodega.
is. LiAngelo's not even in professional basketball anymore.
Yeah, he's making music now.
I'm telling you, we as parents go out of our way to wreck our kids, and I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I think it's very difficult to look at Nico. This kid's a victim. I know that's not popular. This kid is a victim. This is not a 35-year-old man. This is a very young man who is listening to his dad. And his dad is giving him, in my opinion, terrible advice.
Yeah.
$4 million a year ain't out there. And if it is, I want to meet the fool.
And by the way, what kind of message does it send that the millions of dollars you are making now is not good enough? I mean, you're playing college football for ridiculous money already. You know, like I get that you can never make enough, but at some point you have to have some perspective.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're a 20-year-old kid and your dad tells you you're worth $4 million and we're going to go look elsewhere, and then you call Dan Lanning and Dan Lanning calls Josh Heupel at Tennessee, that's a bad look.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't believe that Nico Iamaleava said, I'm not going to practice anymore. I'm not going to call anybody. I'm not going to text anybody. I'm going to be a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that. I think that's called daddy ball.
Right.
And the Iamaleavas are making bad decisions that are ruining this kid's future. Plain and simple. You have hurt his value to the NFL. You have hurt his value in college football. I think it's that simple. So let's get your thoughts in here. I'm tired of this story already. I hate NIL. I hate the transfer portal. I hate the fact that the lawsuit has not been settled yet. So here we are in the middle of a shit show that is destroying a kid's life.
Yes.
And I think it's largely not his doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys blame Nico for this? Or do you blame his dad? Where do you come down on that?
I mean, I think his dad wears most of it, but I have to say, you know, the player ultimately has to go to Josh Heupel and ultimately has to say, yeah, Dad, I'm okay with that. You know, like if your dad says, hey, like there are other offers out there, you know, for more money, let's go make all that money. It's still up to Nico to decide whether he wants to go that route or whether he wants to go against the grain with his dad and stay at Tennessee. And it ultimately, the thing that I don't like from Nico's dad is it puts him in the middle and forces him to make a decision that maybe he's not looking to make. I mean, maybe, you know, if Nico's dad was never in the picture, Nico would be cruising along at Tennessee and would be a 3-year starter and be fast-tracked to the NFL out of the SEC.
I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand why you have to be the kid that's right in the middle of it. I mean, I think about other quarterbacks who are now in the league who, you know, switched programs and, you know, before NIL really became a thing. And, you know, I think about Joe Burrow's path. You know, Joe Burrow wasn't getting reps at Ohio State. So what did he do? Well, he decided to bet on himself and leave and go to LSU, and it all worked out. And that type of situation is what sports is supposed to be about. Hey, you know, I'm in a program where the quarterback room is just too deep. I'm not going to get, you know, the type of exposure and the reps that I need to develop and get to where I want to go. So let me bet on myself, use a one-time transfer exemption, and go to another situation. This, on the other hand, is just money grabbing. And where does it leave us? And that's the problem I have. I feel like on so many levels, it doesn't set the right example for Nico as a kid, frankly, as a young man. At this point, you're basically sending the message to him as his dad that money is all that matters, when in the reality, money is not all that matters when it comes to college football right now. In fact, I would tell you there is almost as much currency in being loyal and not being about the money per se. Like, make your money, yes, but don't be about the money. That can't be the first priority.
Well, I also was flipping around the social medias this morning, and I thought Ryan Leaf made a really good point. Hey, did you guys know that Tennessee doesn't have a general manager for their football team? Everybody of note now, pretty much, has a general manager in their program. I think, and what do? They handle the money.
Mm-hmm.
They handle the kids, the negotiations, the agents, the Nico's dads. The GM handles that. Tennessee doesn't have a GM, and I think you got to go and get one.
Yeah.
I think that much is very clear. The Buffalo Hunter. That's why we have Finebaum.
Okay, let's test it now. I think we may have it. No, we don't have it.
We don't have it.
Okay, all right. All right.
We
all
don't.
right,
We don't.
All right, I'm an idiot.
Should I unplug and replug?
Hang on. Let me try one more thing. Hang on. Let's see.
Try one more thing.
Try one more thing here.
How did you not test this before the show?
Because it's never usually a problem.
It's embarrassing, Nico.
It's never usually a problem.
Nico.
Like I don't know what to tell you.
Just try any drop. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get to.
Oh, your settings.
Yeah, it's just not. It's just not doing it.
Let's see if I could. Ooh,
Oh,
that's.
hey,
not
Monty.
good. Hey, Monty. All right, there.
I'll restart the drop machine. Try one more time.
That's why we have Finebaum. Thank
Yeah.
you, Lane Train. Old Greg, hello. Welcome to the baked portion of the Marty Showgrum. It usually comes with 2 shakes. Bro, Sunday, my wife drugged me out of the house by my earlobe and took me to a place down the street from the crib. I had the best marshmallow strawberry milkshake that I've had ever, and it was amazing. Lobes fan Gabe, hit the freaking like button, you casual. Yeah, please. Hit the like button. There are 700 people watching the show right now. Hello to everybody on X. Had our biggest week ever on X this week already. Come on, get on board. Follow me on X, The Monty Show, and then come on over to YouTube. Search The Monty Show on Google. YouTube will be the first thing to come up. Subscribe to the show. Give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. There he is, Mountain Mama. I know it is relevant news, but I got to say meh over Nico. Tennessee, and especially Finebaum, and his self-righteous attitude. Is there anybody who likes Paul Finebaum?
No.
I mean, he's got a good audience, so somebody must like him.
No.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah. I showed up today. Okay.
Nice job, Finebaum.
Thank you.
That's why we have
Thank you.
Finebaum.
See,
Thank you,
I
Coach.
entered the launch codes.
What'd you have to do?
Played. So usually when you 2 seconds, you plug the computer into the sound mixer thing over here, and usually the computer just goes right along with it.
Does what computing
what it should do.
usually does.
And today it didn't do what it usually does. So we had to change all these settings and you know play with stuff. So
which
anyway,
is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
So good. Glad to have you back, Jake. Thanks for showing up. Nico took some bad advice, Jay Chapman says. I agree. TJ Beck. Hello, TJ. Good to see you. Don't Nico it unless you have somewhere to put it. So you're saying he's transferring to Penn State. Is that wouldn't okay? Mr. Preston, hello. That awkward guy. Damn, I haven't seen the show in a minute. Glad to have caught this one. Good to see
up,
you.
dude?
Good to see you. Is the college football version of Kawhi and his uncle? Could be. Man, Kawhi and his uncle. That hasn't been a thing in a minute. Look at that. Loner phone showed up today. Players need to be treated like adults because they sued, so could be treated like working adults. Well, I don't think that's the case. Why did players sue? Well, because the adults weren't sharing the money that the players were making for them.
Yeah.
So it's not like the players just got all uppity one day and were like, suck it, we're suing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a decades, over a century long in the making, these lawsuits. So I wouldn't exactly go that far. But you know, it is what it is. She's always going down. Bada bing.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, loaner phone. Backstage parents have always created chaos. At some point, strong people find a way to navigate any process, take sports out of the equation.
Yeah, but I mean, what obligation does Nico have to his family, right? I mean, you have to understand that you know you're clearly making the most money. I would guess. I'm speculating. I don't know this to be fact, but I'm guessing Nico at this stage in his life has made more money, than his family ever did.
Correct.
And so you have this, and Nico's not the only one that's been in this position. A lot of guys in the league, in the NFL and in college football are. We hear the story of, hey, got my rookie deal, bought my mom a house, got her out of the bad situation, whatever. That's, we hear that all the time. So I think Nico's got an obligation to his family on some level, but I think that these kind of situations, like if this goes sideways for Nico, and let's say that, he doesn't land in a good spot and then struggles to get into the NFL and have a career, he's going to remember this couple of months stretch here forever.
I would agree.
And that's the type of thing that kids should never have to go through. Nico should never have to be considering, hey, well, should I listen to my dad or should I go with my instinct? Because that's my main question. I don't love what his dad's doing here. I'm with you guys on that.
But you never listen to your dad, though.
That's true, but I'm also not fighting with my dad over $4 million offers. So it's kind of a different situation.
Depends on how much that dog is going to cost you at the end of the day. But my point is, I agree with you.
So my question for Nico is, are you in agreement with your dad's strategy here? Or are you in a position where you feel like you're in between and you regret rocking the boat?
Because remember Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
He, by some reports, grew up in a very abusive home. Didn't have a say where he wanted to go play football. He allegedly wanted to play at USC, wound up at Alabama. Right? So I just think that you can't make broad reaching, I don't know, indictments of a kid. What is he, 20 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, do you know how difficult it is to say no to your dad when $4 million is allegedly on the line? That's tough to do. It's very tough to do. Brandon Butler, hello. I kind of blame the current system. If there are no rules, people are going to try whatever they can to get over. I agree. End of the day, the kid is 20. His dad should know better. He should know better.
Facts.
But it's our job as parents to give our kids sage, good advice. It's something that when Jake was a kid, I took very seriously. And I think when you look at the Iamaleava story, it ultimately, because I think now he can't go back to Tennessee. It does not appear he can go to North Carolina.
Tulane allegedly is out, according to some reporting.
I don't know where he's going to go. K-State?
Yeah.
EMA, are they paying him $4 million? Come on. And then you have Marcus Freeman. The vaunted counter to 10, Marcus Freeman. Talking about Nico, but not talking about Nico.
The reality is our players are getting compensated, deserve to get compensated. What you don't want to do is what I'm sure you've heard many coaches say is you don't want players to make a temporary decision based off a temporary situation that's going to affect them long term, right? And that transactional decisions aren't always the best ones for your future. And I think every situation's different. Every football program's different. But at the end of the day, you want to do what's right for college football, between what's right for college football, also what's right for our players. But you don't want this public disagreement to really tarnish what's so good about our profession and our sport.
Marcus Freeman from On3. I agree 100%. This is a short-term decision that's probably going to shape the rest of your life, and you didn't even know it when it was happening. You're Nico. You're a quarterback. I'm awesome. Everybody's going to want to have me on their team. Yeah, it turns out that's not the case. Is he going to UCLA? Is there a dark horse out there who's just waiting to see how things work out?
I mean, there's always somebody out there who is ready to sign you for a certain number. And I think in the bigger picture, where Nico goes and for how much is going to shock college football in a couple of different ways. If Nico goes to, a power conference, the other three, whichever it might be, and signs for $1 million, then people are going to say, well, actually, schools are in control and you look like an idiot because you allegedly, according to most NIL valuation sites, were somewhere between 2.5 and 3. That's what his total NIL, valuation by most people's accounts is. And now you're going to drop that down to 1 if he were to do that. Now, if he signs for 4 at a tiny little school at the G5 level, let's say, that's a bad look as well. So my question is, how does this work out for Nico?
It doesn't.
That's the problem, is that, okay, on one hand, you get the money, but then you're playing for a tiny school. And then on the other hand, you don't get the money and you're playing for a big school. And if I'm Nico, I'm sitting here, wondering, hey, like, did I get bad advice? Yes, clearly.
Duh.
Obviously. And 2, if you feel like you got bad advice, what's your next best step? Because I agree, it would be awfully difficult. It'd be awfully difficult to go along with this only to part ways with your dad in terms of negotiations. So I just don't see how this works out well for this kid. I don't know how the maths here, as they say.
I don't know either. I think I just look at the schools who are out.
Yeah.
It appears Tennessee's out. It looks like North Carolina's out.
Yeah, we're not making any changes.
It looks like USC certainly is out. It looks like Notre Dame certainly is out. And I think USC and Notre Dame were probably the 2 best fits. Hell, Iamaleava is from Long Beach. He originally, it said, wanted to go there, but they have Jaden Iamaleava now, who's a hell of a quarterback on his own. And USC apparently wants nothing to do with this scandal.
And Colorado said, we're good.
Colorado's out. Notre Dame is out. Oregon's out. I think it's Tulane or UCLA, and I don't think either one of them is paying him anywhere near. I don't think either one of them is going to pay him $2 million. I really don't. I think this was a horrendous decision. Yeah. Horrendous decision.
It's very much a pyramid-shaped proposition for him, right? The lower you go in money, the more opportunity you get. The higher you go in money, the less opportunity you have. Yeah. So what's it going to be?
I agree. Delaric, hello. Nico's best landing spot at this time is probably USC.
But I don't think he's taking that risk. I don't think that
Lincoln cannot take that risk.
Is going to take that risk. There's no way. How are you going to do that? Like, that doesn't work.
I don't think I would be stunned. I would be stunned. I was chatting with a USC alum that I know. Who they're all in on Jaden Iamaleava. I just don't see that happening. I think Notre Dame's more likely than USC, and Notre Dame's not likely at all. And we need a quarterback. And I don't think it's happening. The awkward guy. If Nico goes to the NFL, don't you think the teams will think he will sit out the first opportunity now? I don't. I think when and if he goes to the NFL, he's going to have to talk about this in meetings.
I still think it's an if. I don't think he's just a no doubt about it, bona fide top 10 pick.
I don't think he is. I don't think you're drafting him. If he goes somewhere and wrecks, forget it. He'll be drafted. If he dominates, if he shuts his mouth, cashes his checks, and just shows up for work, he'll dominate. But now the biggest issue is his dad. His dad's the problem.
Yeah.
Because when you're out there claiming to have a $4 million offer from multiple schools, you better have a $4 million offer from
That's bullshit.
Because I don't think he does.
No.
I don't believe it.
And I don't think most people think he does.
I don't. I truly do not. Future Hoosier. Okay. Could be interesting. All Indiana does is win. Just Google him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got no class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I win. Google me.
Thank you. That's
sorry. My bad. Sorry.
Originally wanted.
Sorry.
Lama Lever for Tulane. Could you imagine going from Tennessee to Tulane?
Nah.
Going from a P4 in the SEC to the AAC. That's a steep fall off. That is a steep fall off, in my opinion. I hate it. I hate it for the kid. I really do.
It's rough.
Yeah. How about Oak State as a spot? Well, I mean, you ask the Oak State people, They've got, God Almighty is their starting quarterback who's never played a game. But by the way, he's not going to Oak
State.
State.
Don't have no general manager.
He's not going to Oak
It's
State.
Mike Gundy's job.
You're telling me they have $4 million to pay him when they just cut Gundy's salary? Somehow I don't see that. Iamaleava's dad must be using the pack book of back of the envelope calculations. Can't say I disagree.
Back of the
with that.
envelope calculations.
Can't say I disagree with it.
Yeah. It's disappointing, dude. It's upsetting, disappointing. It's, it's just everything that it shouldn't be. And I actually, for once agree with what Marcus Freeman said. I think that, the whole concept of, making a transactional decision, a short term, I'm going to chase this now and not care about the future is, at that stage in your career is really foolish, because ultimately what is college football? Well, college football is just the proving ground for the NFL. And if you go out and prove it, you're going to get paid, right? Like just what you said, like if he goes out and dominates, he'll get drafted. So I just, my biggest issue with the whole thing is that, his dad is just sending all the wrong messages, sending all the wrong signs, giving him the poorest example possible of, hey, we're just going to chase money. And that's like what he said in his comments, right? Like, y'all need to understand this is a business first.
Why would you say that?
Like, actually, dude, it's not a business first. Actually, it's this kid's career first, and then it's the money. Like, look at that. Y'all in the media need to understand that this is a business first, and we allowed to, seek opportunities. Like, come on, dude. We get it, dude. You're looking to make as much money as you can.
Pick up the playbook and blame the media.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Y'all in the media. Because it's y'all in the media's fault.
Yeah.
That you're not a smart businessman. That you just said Tulane offered you $4 million.
You're an idiot, dude. Like you're not savvy in the PR world.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild.